We look at ourselves as the bridge between the traditional financial and the crypto world. So that's why we want to be the bank and issue stablecoin bank accounts directly out of your stablecoin. We all know about the breadth and scale of NWC, 100,000 attendees globally with phenomenal success. But I think it's the content and the engagement, the energy, which is vibrant, rebellious. But I think it's a melting pot of corporates, telecom, startups, especially this 4 years from now, where you have investors, startups, corporate, cutting-edge technology providers all under the same roof. That's phenomenal. We love it here.
We're wrapping up shop here at MWC 2025. It's been a super productive conference. We networked with a ton of mobile network operators, and the booth generated a ton of interest. So that's it for now. We'll see you at the next conference. Welcome to the Telcoin bridging tutorial. In this video, I'll demonstrate how to bridge Tel, the native token of the Telcoin platform. We'll be bridging from the Ethereum network to the Polygon network, which is a layer 2 scaling solution that allows for gas fees at a fraction of the cost of Ethereum. Please note that as of Q4 2024, Telcoin is only available on the Ethereum and Polygon proof-of-stake blockchains, and it is imperative to select the correct network whenever making a transfer. For simplicity, I'll use the popular wallets of Ledger and MetaMask, but you can also bridge using other supported wallets of your choice. Here we are on Ledger Live, where I'm starting off with 2 wallets in my ledger, one on Ethereum with ETH and Tel, which is what I'll be bridging, and one on Polygon with its native token POL, formerly known as Matic. Note that you'll need a small amount of both ETH and POL to use as gas. You can easily acquire both on a centralized or decentralized exchange. Let's go to my Ethereum wallet. I'll turn off discrete mode so you can see the balance. Here, I have about 0.0234 ETH and over 500,000 Tel. For this demonstration, I'll bridge 500,000 Tel over to Polygon. Now let's go to MetaMask. The account is empty and set to Ethereum, so it's all ready to receive my Tel. I'll copy my address and return to Ledger Live. Now I'll click Send, paste in my MetaMask Ethereum address as the destination, and click Continue. I'll type in the amount, 500,000 Tel, and select the speed and associated gas fee. I'm fine with the medium speed. Note that the Polygon gas fees will be significantly cheaper, only a few cents instead of a few dollars. I'll click Continue, then Continue again. For the final confirmation,
we look at ourselves as the bridge between the traditional financial and the crypto world. So that's why we want to be the bank and issue stablecoin bank accounts directly out of your stablecoin. We all know about the breadth and scale of NWC, 100,000 attendees globally with phenomenal success. But I think it's the content and the engagement, the energy, which is vibrant, ebullient. But I think it's a melting pot of corporates, telecom, startups, especially this 4 years from now, where you have investors, startups, corporate, cutting-edge technology providers all under the same roof. That's phenomenal. We love it here.
We're wrapping up shop here at MWC 2025. It's been a super productive conference. We networked with a ton of mobile network operators, and the booth generated a ton of interest. So that's it for now. We'll see you at the next conference.
Hey everybody, my name's Grant Key. I'm the lead protocol engineer for Telcoin Network. I'll show you our digital cash demo. We've deployed several digital cash options on testnet. This is a Diri testnet. We have selected our eMEX peso, and you can see from a list of options, we've got a wallet with several balances.
Hello guys.
Swap for Canadian dollars.
Hi, Will. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you.
Good man. How is France?
Well, sunny for the moment. I went golfing yesterday. It was great.
Nice.
Gentlemen, how we doing?
Hi,
Hey, Andrew.
Golfing, man. I haven't been out yet this year, but I gotta get started.
Yeah, I've been golfing for 5 years now, and I'm totally addicted.
Oh, it's funny. You can have a terrible round, and then you have on the 18th you have a good hole, and it just sucks you back in for the next round.
Yeah, just make one good shot, and your motivation is up full.
Exactly. You golf at all, Ty?
No, I'm just reminiscing. I used to work at the Royal and Ancient Golf Club in St Andrews when they hosted the British Open there.
Oh my God!
I
Wow.
worked there. I met all the greats of the day, but I could never see the point in actually going out and playing golf. So sorry guys.
You sound like that Robin Williams skit. Fuck no! Why'd make it hard?
No.
Put shit in the way.
The axe murderer one. I married an axe murderer. That's a good one.
Sorry, what did you call it? The what?
What? Sorry?
Thank you.
I don't know if Tim's talking to us.
You called it the British Open.
Well, yeah,
the British Open.
It was the British Open, hosted in St Andrews.
It's called the Open.
It's not the British Open anymore, just the Open.
It's always been the Open. There is no other.
Oh my God! All right.
Hey,
Apologies.
can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, Mike.
Yes, Mike.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Sorry, I was having some mic difficulties. Hey, how do I send a link to Paul to join this? Do you guys have one? How do you do that?
Let me see if I can get it. You should be able to if you go into like if you're on your phone.
Come under what? Oh,
Is he on Discord?
just lost Andrew. Well, he's on Discord, but I don't know how to send him. He's sending me a message on Slack. He doesn't know how to join Amir,
Mike,
do you,
can
do
you
you
hear
know how
me?
we send them a link? Yeah, I can hear you. How do I send
Are
Paul a
you?
link?
If you look at the tab at the left hand side, it should say Telcoin Association. It will have like a little house with like a star around it. Do you see that?
No.
I
I see the Telcoin
will.
Association. Oh yeah, I do see that.
So there's a drop down, depending on what device you're on. There's a drop down where you can click and it'll say invite to server. There should also be next to it, if you're on desktop, it should say invite to server. It's got like two little people and a plus sign.
Invite people.
Invite to server. It's got two little people on it on the symbol.
Oh, I must just copy this and send it to Paul. I just send the server link, probably.
Yes.
All right, I think I just sent it to him in our shared Slack channel.
Yeah, I see it.
That's exciting news. Get Paul on here
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah,
if we can.
yeah, yeah. He only got like 30 minutes, so we'll go straight to him.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right, well, Mike, if you want to hit record, I can do the kickoff and just go through the forward, the agenda, and then just the recap, and then hopefully by then we'll have Paul in, and we can jump to the proposal on the increased liquidity for digital cash.
Okay. Recording is started.
Perfect, thank you, sir. All right, well, welcome everybody to our reoccurring TELx Council meeting. These reoccurring meetings provide several critical functions to our governance. They provide transparency to our community. They create structure for our forum. They provide authors the ability to present their proposals to the council and community. They allow the council and community to review, debate, and refine these proposals so that they can get to a place where we have consensus and mutual understanding. They provide a medium for regular TELx ecosystem updates. They ensure consistent communication between council members and the community. They allow the community to directly engage in Q&A with the council members as well. So just a reminder, the TELx Council is a local governance organization with authority over and duties towards TELx operational rules, system health, and social well-being. Overview of the TELx Council is to accept, develop, and vote on TELx IPs, to change and introduce new elements to TELx, to alter TELx harvesting rules, and is responsible for generally representing the interests of and informing their constituency in matters pertaining to TELx. The duties of the TELx Council is required to plan, finance, and coordinate implementation of improvements to the TELx system, regulate the flow of TEL issuance throughout TELx to be harvested by liquidity miners, introduces, alters, and enforces TELx operational rules, including harvesting, information and communication, maintenance, and construction. Also informs miners of the activities and outcomes related to TELx and results from the snapshot votes. These snapshot votes are required for all council members, and in order for proposal to move forward, there needs to be a 5 of 6 majority vote, with all 6 members voting within the 5 days from the start of the original snapshot. So, agenda-wise for today, what we'll do is we'll recap the last meeting. We'll talk about some TELx IP discussions. I see Amir is here as well. Hopefully, we can talk about what's going on with some updates on V4. We could also talk a little bit about Dune Analytics, operational wallets, and then we've got those two kind of open TELx IPs. I know Ty's always in range is going to be kind of put on the back burner until we get things going with, the poly and base stuff for V4. But then we'll also obviously have Paul on, hopefully, to talk about the increased liquidity for digital cash, specifically on this Mexican stablecoin or digital cash. And then we could jump into other topics of discussion. I know I'm hoping, actually, Mike, maybe you can give us an update if Khalil will be on to talk about some TELx website updates.
Go. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, just as long as Khalil's here, that's great. And then I know the community's been asking about the rewards airdrops, as we had that little issue between kind of May 2nd and May 5th. So I know I've been talking to Amir about that. And then I know we've kind of talked about budget management and token mapping as well. After that, we'll open it up to Q&A and then just confirm that everybody is good for the next scheduled meetings, which are tentatively scheduled for May 28th and June 11th, both at 3 p.m. Just again, note the new time too, just to help accommodate some of the different time zones. So Will, to your point too, that if down the road it does get a little bit later when the time change happens over in Europe, we could always accommodate backwards and go back to 2 p.m. Eastern time as well. So I'll do a quick recap of last week's meeting, and then we'll take it from there. So again, on the updates for TELx IP, we did talk a lot about the V4 pools for Poly and Base, basically the Tel ETH pools. We did have Amir on the last meeting, and we also conducted a meeting last week, a good hour and a half, just to get a little bit more familiar with these V4 pools and what it's going to intake to get the rewards and voting for Snapshot all included together in these hooks. So maybe Amir can jump on a little bit later and give us an update on where things are at there. Leo and I did talk about the Dune Analytics. I did give him a little bit of an update on kind of the framework on how we kind of want to see the Dune Analytics. But maybe that'll kind of tie into kind of the website updates too, as I know once we try to get the Dune Analytics essentially done, we would love to have that, the analytical stuff posted to the TELx website, so everything's basically there as well. I did try to reach out to Grant as well to see if we have any updates on the TAO management of the operational wallet and just kind of the council NFTs. I know there was a little bit of an issue there. And again, we talked about the updated proposals about always in range and the increasing liquidity for digital cash. And then the last two things we did talk about was just kind of the token mapping for new chains and some of the concerns from Grant's perspective there as we slowly transition to the Telcoin network. And I think that was about it. So in terms of updates for TELx IP discussions, do we know if Paul is in yet? I don't know if I see him.
He is not. I'm texting with him currently, but he is having trouble with Discord. He can't seem to. It's like it's an account issue.
Okay, no problem.
yeah. So I don't know. He may or may not make it. So we'll see.
Okay, well, Amir, maybe I'll ask if you can jump up and maybe just give us an update as to where we are with the V pool or V4 integration with those pools, and just to give everybody else a little bit of an update too. We did during our meeting with Amir essentially come to a consensus on the deprecation of the DFX and balancer pools, which is essentially going to happen at the end of this period, which is currently slated for June 5th. So we'll put a little more formal communication out together for the community, but essentially those two pools will be deprecated as of June 5th. And then as soon as we can get the V4 pools up and running, we'll transfer those rewards to those new pools. Okay. So Amir, I'll leave it to you and give us an update on how things are going with V4.
Yeah, absolutely. I have some minor updates regarding what I'm working on since our discussion last week. So I've minus the voting aspect of it, which I'll get to in a second. I finished the hook and I finished the staking registry, the portion that actually has to do with retrieving rewards and stuff like that. Currently, I'm writing the test scripts for that, which are necessary in order to do an audit. I've also, I know this was something I was uncertain of last time we met, and I don't have an absolute answer, but I'm hopeful. The way we currently check on someone's voting strength is by equalizing their liquidity in a pool based off of an amount of TEL. So it takes that amount of TEL in the pool, divides by their proportion, and then it makes like an estimation based off of the other currency so that they can take advantage of their full liquidity. I was uncertain if I would be able to do that with this new Uniswap pool because of the way it works. I can't say for certain still at this point, but according to what I've been looking to, I should be able to do a similar process, even though that the proportionalities aren't rigid. But at the same time, I'm hopeful that I'll be able to do that. So everything will be equalized on TEL like it is. Similarly, it'll just use a slightly different structure, and then I'll create a new. I've been calling them adapters, and that's kind of an in between the actual contract and what snapshot would use to record someone's balance. So the advantage of that is that out of the box, it would work with snapshot. We don't have to do any sort of. So a little bit of background for everybody who wasn't part of that meeting, meaning non-council members. The one of the troubles was equalizing liquidity balances between different pools. On chain, it can be difficult to know if a certain pool is worth a increased dollar amount if you're not using oracles and stuff like that. In the past, we've just kind of equalized things, like if it's an $80 to 20 balancer pool, we essentially give credit them the difference in TEL, and believe I found a way to do that for that new the new Uniswap pools, which just is a plus. It just requires less maintenance if a vote were to go. If what I find isn't possible, we'd have to do publish some information prior to each vote. It's not the end of the world, but it's a little bit of a headache. This way, I believe I found should mitigate that. So that's great. Like I said, I finished the contracts minus this voting portion I'm looking into, and I am in the process of finishing up the test scripts. After the test scripts, I'm going to do some on-chain testing as well, simply because I want to make sure I have everything lined up before we actually engage in an audit. My goal is to finish everything by Tuesday, and I'll probably, on Friday, my goal is to reach out to some auditing companies so that because at that point in time, all the code should be written, the test should be in play, should be still being written. So they'll be able to look at it and quote it, and hopefully start the audit as soon as possible, as soon as I've finished writing the test code. So it usually only takes a few days to set up a meeting. So like I said, maybe by Friday I can do that. If all the code's done, they'll be able to look at it on Friday, and then I'll have an additional 2 days to finish those tests. So that's kind of where I'm at. Khalil is not able to make it today. He's in Pakistan, and it's pretty late. I met with him yesterday to try to get an update on what he's been working on, what his next few weeks might look like, and I can try to answer any questions on his behalf. Chances are I'll probably have to write down a fair number of questions, and I will be in touch with him tomorrow, submit any questions that I'm not able to answer, as well as verify any questions that I have answered. And I can provide them both on Discord and to the Telcoin, the council members directly, so that way you can get answers. I'm kind of a middleman, but hopefully I can provide some information.
No, that's great. Appreciate it, Amir. The one question I was going to think, and I think maybe Tyre probably on the same lines, is I know we got to get an audit of this code done. Timing wise, again, whenever we can get it done, the better, the faster the better. But do we have an idea of what the costing is going to be? I'm assuming we got to take that out of our operational wallet. So it would be just good to have a rough idea on what the potential cost of that audit is going to be.
I can only give a very rough estimate, and that's based off of in the past I've worked with some of these audit companies, and they'll have a minimum price. Essentially, is if you're, it has to do with a line count of the code, and if it's under a certain amount, you still have to pay. If you're only getting 2 lines of code audited, it's the same as 50 lines or 100 lines, whatever their minimum line count is. So I want to say that's probably in the 15 to 20 grand area, but I can't say for certain. If it's above, it could be more, and their prices constantly change. I don't always keep to date on their price changes. So that's roughly what we're looking at as far as an audit for this. Now, I don't mean to digress, but there was a small bug. It's not a big issue, but found in one of the council NFTs. It's not a vulnerability. It just makes things kind of painful in certain situations that would be nice to knock out in the same audit. And if that was the case, potentially you could ask the Telcoin Association to pitch in a little bit on the audit, because the council NFTs affect everybody. But like I said, it's not an urgent or pressing issue, so they might also decide that it's not a priority. It's just something I wanted to voice as almost as an advocate for the TELx Council, if it's something you wanted to lobby the association for. I can't make any promises that they'll agree, but that's the idea.
Okay, that makes sense. And I know even in the year 2 budget, the association did give us an extra 10 million TEL to kind of add towards our budget. So whether or not we're going to be able to, accommodate that 15, 20 grand, maybe they help out with 25%. But yeah, like you said, that's probably a conversation that we can have. Maybe potentially as early as tomorrow as they have their next meeting scheduled. So, okay, good to know to get a rough idea on what that costing is going to look like. Okay, we'll take it from there and work on next steps. And Amir, I know we kind of talked about this too, but while you're up here, just the rewards that were missed from May 2nd to May 5th. Again, like I think, in my opinion, I think like that should be pushed out to the community. It was not on them for that issue, that instance. And I know we've kind of talked about it, that the focus right now for you is obviously these V4. But in terms of a timeline, like we can say probably by the end of the month, we can probably have that.
I think that's reasonable. I don't want to, handcuff myself, but I don't foresee that being an issue unless this particular project ends up being much more. I don't want to say comprehensive, but unless it ends up being much bigger than I expect, I think the end of the month is reasonable. All I really have to do is create a script that that calculates those 4 days. It has to go back to the very beginning. The way that you capture whether or not somebody has participated is a little weird. So we have to. The script can't just go over those 4 days. It has to kind of rebuild everything prior since the creation of the contract, and then just take into account those 4 days. So it's a little bit weird, but I'm confident we can do that. It's just like I said, matter of time and bandwidth. I'll get. This is the priority. People can get the rewards. That's not really a concern. It's just a matter of, we want to get active projects out as soon as possible. So yeah, I think a couple of weeks, end of the month is reasonable, and we can go from there.
Sounds good, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No
Thanks,
problem.
Amir. I have a couple
Yeah,
of
of course.
questions before we move on. On the costings for your work, Amir, on both the voting aspect of these hooks and the rewards, do we know what that will be now? Or because I think these proposals were passed without a very accurate idea of the cost. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we actually knew what the cost of your development would be for these improvements. Is that correct?
Yes. Now
I was just going to say we did have an idea in terms of like the work. I think the new cost that's coming out today is just to understand the cost of the audit, and maybe we just didn't think of that. But again, I think the cost of the work for Amir to go, I think it was in our original plan, in that original budget. I'm just driving, like I'd have to go back and look, but I think it was in there, 40 hours or something like that, at, $75 an hour or $100 an hour, whatever the number was. I think just the additional cost now is just kind of the cost of that audit. But while I'm thinking of it too, Amir, I'm assuming that once this code is written, audited, good to go, we're able to use this code for any new V4 pools moving forward, correct?
Correct. It'll be for it's specific to Uniswap. This is the way they operate. There are other companies like QuickSwap that are more or less just forks of Uniswap, in which there's a high likelihood that if we were to decide to use them, it would be compatible. But regardless, to answer your question, it'll be compatible with any pool that is a V4 Uniswap, and potentially other ones in the future, if depending on the changes, if they were to do a V5. V4 is obviously very new though, so I think we're looking way down the road for that. But yes, this is not like a pool specific thing. It should work with any new pool on any network, so long as a Uniswap isn't changing the code.
Okay, no, that's great news, because then I would assume anytime we need to adjust, deprecate, or add new pools, it should be a lot smoother of a transition then.
Yes, yeah. In the past, we've been able to adjust, update, pools, stuff like that, very easily, because we would go from, like balancer to balancer or something like that. The only reason this is such a headache is is because of it's significantly different than the current TELx staking contracts, as well as significantly different for the voting mechanisms. So it was just it's just a much heavier lift than anything we've done in the past. But going forwards, like I said, adding new, if we wanted to include new networks, if we wanted to include new pools, anything V4, Uniswap, it should work with all of them.
Perfect. Okay, good news. Sorry, Ty, I think I cut you off in part of your question, so I'll let you.
Yeah, no
So
problem.
the 40 hours was kind of me taking into account also the air portion of it. And I know for now, I think we've decided not proceed, but hold off for a little bit. So for now, just the smart contract stuff, a lot of the work I do is on the dime of Telcoin Holdings. And I'm not really privy to the agreement between Telcoin Holdings as and the Telcoin Association as far as reimbursement for hours and stuff. I know that's something that they log. I couldn't tell you exactly what your guys' agreement is with it. But my hours outside of that are really probably much smaller than the 40, so long as we aren't proceeding with, I shouldn't say not proceeding, not incorporating the air portion. So I would probably say only roughly probably about 10 to 15 hours instead of like the 40, since for now we're not looking at that air portion.
Yeah, no, we'll keep the air separate for now, since that's a little bit more complicated with your recent paper, Amir.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not including any, obviously not including any TELx website integration, because in my mind, that's an important part of this initiative. We need visibility from the user's point of view as to how their rewards are going when they're in these V4 pools. So because we don't have Khalil available, as far as I'm aware, where are we on that side of the development? Does anybody know?
Well, so I spoke to Khalil yesterday. Much of the work he's done so far is upgrading dependencies of the current TELx website, just making sure that either the next generation of like Next.js, things like I think they switched like server-side providers or something along those lines. So a lot of it has been a refactor to just be a more robust product. I spoke with him yesterday, and I went through some of the things that we would kind of need to have or nice to have, some of the changes that I would be looking at implementing, and what that would mean for him. A lot of the changes would be relatively smooth. For example, there's not really the same staking and unstaking process. That's done a little bit more directly, so those steps are removed. So that's essentially very easy for him to incorporate. Claim will be very similar. There's two key aspects though that will be relatively different, and he was not able to provide me with timelines or anything like that. He said he said give me until next week, and then he and I can meet, and he'll be able to do a little bit more of the research. Partially because, like I said, that refactor he's been working on, he's just completed. It's in code review right now. They're looking at incorporating changes and stuff. So after that's done, he'll be able to, like I said, kind of do like the R&D, the research side of it. But those two aspects that he's working on, or that he needs to take a look at, I should say, are making it a multi-chain platform, which is not an insignificant change. Being able to incorporate multiple networks is going to be a decent amount of work. So he said he would hopefully be able to provide me a timeline on that next week. The other is the view of someone's accumulated rewards. So as I think we spoke on the council meeting our private meeting the other day, everybody will be able to see their rewards after it's been accumulated, in a sense that, like, if you look at after the weekly distribution, or however often the distribution is.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Right. Sorry, Amir, we were dead air for about 4 minutes there.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Where did everybody lose me?
Not your fault, but I think we went completely dead.
I was going to say I heard everything.
Oh, did you?
Oh,
Yeah, I had no issues.
I lost all audio and had to leave to come back. Weird.
Oh,
And
interesting.
half the guys in the comments said the same thing. That's weird.
yeah.
That's weird. I feel less bad now. I thought it was my internet, and I was like, oh shoot. Well,
No, I
I'm
think it was
happy
a
to go back if one of the people who couldn't hear is happy to tell me what the last thing they could hear was.
Well,
You were
you
talking
were
about refactoring.
Okay, so I'll try to do a slightly brief. So he's just finishing up a refactoring. I've explained to him some of the changes that need to be done. A couple of them, such as the staking unstaking process, are very easy because that part really doesn't need to be done in the same way. The two larger changes are becoming multi-chain, which is a significant change to the way the platform is structured, the website is structured. The other is how people can view the rewards. Now, this reward system is retroactive, right? So a week expires during that, kind of like the TAN issuance rewards. After the week, a script is run and the distributions are done. Now, everybody will be able to see the rewards that have been accumulated from like previous periods. What we're working on, what he needs to do research on, is to see if there's some way to incorporate the script on the website in which someone can see their rewards in the interim, like during a partial week. That's something he was also uncertain of, but he's looking into. So those are the two biggest changes. I would say personally that the being able to view your rewards more or less in real time is a great to have, but not a need to have, versus the multi-chaining is pretty much a must. Otherwise, once again, we can only pick one network. So he will provide me time estimates on that next week, because, like I said, unless we wanted to just switch to base or just stay on Polygon, that's kind of where we're at. So I'll have more on that next week. And if anybody has any specific questions, feel free to let me know, and I will pass them along to Khalil when I speak to him next.
I was just going to bring up some clarity as well too, just on like the rewards, the fees, because I know we had that call last week. But essentially, like you said, Amir, the rewards are going to be through the TELx website, in which you have to stake on TELx in order to be eligible. But just like any other V4 Uniswap pool, all the fees will be claimable on the Uniswap website. We cannot control that. There's no way for us to kind of move that to the TELx website, just because Uniswap is in control. But rewards and that aside, again, like we said on voting, essentially everybody will have the ability to vote as well. So just wanted to make that clear for everybody that rewards will be through TELx. You need to stake in order to be eligible. Fees you'll get from Uniswap, and voting, essentially anybody that provides liquidity, and doesn't matter if you're in range or out of range, your liquidity will still go towards that voting power. Okay, did anybody else have any questions for Amir on kind of the V4 stuff?
Just one final question. Sorry, Will, you go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's a brief question. I think we all want to know what the UI work will cost to the council, and I guess you don't know exactly, and it depends on what we ask, and I'm sure we'll go for multi networks first, but we'd love to have an idea of what it's going to cost.
Yeah, like I said, without a time estimate, there's really no way to know how much it'll cost. Nor do I know the pay structure with Khalil and stuff like that. So that's something he would probably have to address directly, even with the time estimate.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, so my final question, Amir, while you're there, I know it's difficult, big picture, but when do you think everything will be wrapped up so we can actually effectively start using these pools as a community? You've got to finish off your testing, we've got the audit, we've got the TELx website stuff to do. In my mind, 4 weeks seems ambitious, 6 weeks seems about right. What do you think from this point in time? When will it be ready?
Well, for me, I'm confident. Like I said, I plan to have everything done and ready, audit ready by Tuesday. I hope to have that meeting set up. Like I said, I'll reach out to them this week. I'm hoping to have a meeting set up between Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. And I'm confident that I'll be able to have my portion done prior to the beginning of the next TELx period. I cannot speak for Khalil, though. Once again, he has to do the fact finding. He has to do that stuff. Now, technically speaking, it's bad UX, but not impossible to release this product without some of these aspects. But like I said, UX wise, it'll become much more cumbersome for people who are probably less versed in the space. To do things like claim the rewards, we'd have to redirect them to third-party sites like Polygon Scan and explain how to go about it. So I know I can have the smart contract portion done before the next period. So that'll be much less than the 4 weeks. But I can't. Like I said, I'll have a better information from Khalil next week. I can't speak for him. Like I said, he's unsure of how long it'll take him at this time. So. Hopefully I'll have more to provide next week. And then, we don't have to wait for the next election or next council meeting to provide some of that information. Once I know, I'll provide to the council members and they can provide it in Discord or whatever means they find is most efficient.
Okay, that would be helpful, Amir. Thanks. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
of course.
a point there. We don't want to make the general community that uses LP. We don't want the processes any more complicated than it is now. I think there is a level of complexity that put people off, and part of our aim is to try and simplify stuff, not make it more complicated. So just bear that in mind when we're talking about the user interface, I think, is a general guidance.
I completely agree. I just meant if the website wasn't up by the next period, it is possible that we could launch, but it would potentially lock some certain less power users out of rewards. So I just wanted to kind of state all the facts, but I agree, long term, short term, we just want to make sure things are the best UX as possible.
Yeah, from that perspective too, like the next period starts, June 5th. Like I don't think we're going to have everything ready to go by then. So then I would suggest that, we look at like the next one, whether it's, July 5th or 4th, depending on the 30 days. Like that would be kind of the timeline I take to start the rewards for these new pools. And what that would do too is that would give us 2 pools of a month's worth, which I think is, almost 2.8 million TEL. Right, so we get over 5 million that we can kind of put back into our budget to kind of help pay for the audit. That was something I guess new, that we can at least use those extra 5 million TEL to put towards the operational budget of these expenses that we have to incur.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense.
Even if we have to wait until August, like at the end of the day, like I would rather take our time and make sure that everything is properly done, properly set up. Like Amir, I know what you're talking about with like going to Polygon Scan and claiming and all that kind of stuff, because I know that's the way that we have the council NFTs and the way that we get distributed our TEL set up right now. I know it's not the most user friendly, as someone that's been in crypto for a while, like it's not that bad. Like it takes me a minute or two to go and read, the steps and go through it. But to tie rather.
You're cracking up, Andrew.
It's cutting up a little bit for me. I'm getting 50-50.
Yeah, Andrew, you're cutting out a bit, so.
You're probably driving. Yeah, if we aim for July the 4th, we can celebrate with some fireworks for our American friends.
Can you guys Yeah. Again, I think you guys get my point that let's do it properly. I guess that's my point. Take the time we need and do it the right way.
Yep.
Yeah,
That
I'm
sounds
good
good.
with that.
Can I just say one thing here? We're talking about two separate things here. We're talking about the deprecation of the old pools, let's call them, and starting the rewards on the new ones. The 30-day notice we need to give to members really is associated with the deprecation to give them ample time to leave the pool. Going forward with the new rewards on the new pools, that can wait a bit longer, but the 30 days notice should be when we're going to deprecate.
Right. We're
Yeah,
going
no,
to deprecate the pools as of June 2nd. This has been a long time coming on this one. I think almost everybody's aware, and even having 3 weeks until that point, I believe is adequate for this particular multi-month scenario. It's been fairly clear that those pools are going to be deprecated for quite some time. If you're,
So
that's my thought. Yeah.
My point was not to let it drag on longer. I'm happy with it being
Oh, right.
second.
Yeah. Sure.
We
Yeah.
should-
Yeah.
we
June
shouldn't
2nd,
wait-
those drop. Yeah.
We shouldn't wait for the rewards to be sorted before we deprecate and issue notice to deprecation. So yeah, stick to the June 2nd, no later. Yeah.
Yeah, we should put out a notice this week that just says the balancer and DFF pools will be deprecated June 2nd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I
absolutely.
can talk to Leo and we can get something put out from the Telcoin Tau Twitter account, and then we can all kind of repost it and redistribute it amongst all the Telegram groups and within Discord, and just make sure that we're
Sounds
all
good.
aligned. But again, June 5th sounds like a good enough date. Like you said, Mike, we've known about this for long enough, and anybody that's following and paying attention should be aware that it was coming. I think we initially said it was going to be May 5th, so or essentially everybody got like an extra 30 days of rewards out of those two pools. And like I said, whatever funds don't go out for June, July, we can use that towards the cost of the audits to get these V4 pools up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, agreed.
Yeah, great idea, Andrew.
Okay, so V4, I think we're up to speed. We're good to go. I did give you guys a little bit of an update on the Doom side. Again, on the operational wallet, I think we can continue to use the Tau for now until they figure out the NFT and the control of that during those contracts and the multi-sig stuff. That's fine. Obviously, we don't have Paul to talk about the updated TELx IP for the eMEX digital cash, and we know that
I can kind of take that ball if we want to just
go.
I have had some good conversations with him regarding that, and the importance of getting that eMexican peso pool to some sort of volume in the near term is fairly, he considers that a fairly high priority, and so do I, really, because the reason is, like, I think I understand a little bit better. I'm going to explain this as simply as I understand it, which is not very deep, but that when you go to send a money transfer from US dollar stablecoin to eMexican peso, some of that will be able to be handled through an FX situation we have in place, or software they have in place called eMEX. I think Amir was probably part of that, but and that helps to to do that. But it doesn't cover all the states in the United States because of the different cryptocurrency laws, money transmitter laws, and all those other things, where the decentralized finance pools through Uniswap would then cover, so that would be that product would be available to send US to Mexico in all 50 states. So some of those remittances would be routed through whichever route is the most efficient for the consumer, whether that be through the Uniswap pools or through eMEX, or I don't. If you please don't ask me to fully explain eMEX because I don't fully understand it, but it makes sense in theory to me, but I don't fully understand the skeleton or the bones of it. It's not my department, but I think that having said all that, the issue is trying to get this pool live soon. Like within, I think we want to have things turned on here in June, to be able to do these cross-border remittances via these pools. So having said that, I think it's important to push that proposal to a vote, and then decide how much we want to issue to it to start, whether that be the 2.7 mil tel per month until the pool is of adequate size and volume. I don't know what you guys thoughts on that are. Will there be another pool going forward that's stablecoin pool that we're going to want to bootstrap? Yes. When will that be? I don't know. But the eMexican peso is an important one to get volume in for operationally for cross-border remittances payments to Mexico for Telcoin, the organization. So that is sort of the over-explained summary.
There's
Okay,
a timing
just,
problem here, Mike.
Yeah, I was
because
going to mention that too,
you're
because
saying-
we've got to get the V4 audits and all that kind of stuff done, right?
Yeah. So it would be like sort of if we could tie that into conjunction with, I think, these other two pools, it'll be a V4 pool. It'll fall under the same audit and the same thing from a timeline perspective. So while I think that would be the sort of earliest available is once we get all the other things going from our council perspective, just deciding as far as that should be factored into the work on that end, but we just need to sort of move forward with the governing portion of deciding the issuance and approving the proposal. If we can all come to agree that the proposal is worth approving, not just to try to suggest that that's a foregone conclusion.
So, Mike, just the other thing, just remind us where the rewards are coming from for that Mexican pool.
That would be in the proposal would be from the Matic, the balancer Matic pool.
Okay, so one more to deprecate.
That's correct.
Cool. Just on that note, in terms of deprecating, I know it's come up in the community before that we essentially, once the V4 stuff is done and we're going to incentivize, Tel ETH, essentially V4, do we want to consider deprecating the current ETH pool on balancer? Like, does it make sense to incentivize two similar pools on different protocols on the same chain? Or like, I don't
think it does. In this first, my opinion is that balancer is pretty weak. Polygon's pretty weak, to be honest. But those are sort of both but the balancer protocol on Polygon is super weak. So I don't see any point of incentivizing two separate Tel ETH pools on the same chain. So I do. My opinion would be that yes, we would use those Tel ETH balancer pool rewards for something else in the future. But that's probably something to think of for the next shift.
Why don't we bite the bullet and deprecate 4 pools?
You mean like all of them on balancer?
The DFX, the balancer, the Matic, and the ETH on balancer. Deprecate these 4 pools.
And then we'll just have the wrap Bitcoin and the
USDC
Ethereum one.
I think.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, ultimately, getting rid of balancer altogether would probably be the goal. Like staging it might be important. I think deprecating the Tel ETH pool on balancer before we are rewarding the Tel ETH pool on Uniswap would be a miss. I think we should make sure that those rewards are flowing to Tel ETH somewhere else before we deprecate that pool, because that does impact volume. People do leave their assets in these liquidity pools right now because of fees, but also because of the issuance. So if we deprecate a pool before the issuance is flowing somewhere else in the same assets, I think we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot.
I think we've got enough
Okay.
to go on at the moment.
So, well, what about the Matic then? Because we need the Matic funds, do we not, to flow into this Mexican pool?
Right.
So shall we
I
deprecate
do.
3?
I think that would be okay with me. If we want to do the Matic pool this next cycle for June 5th, or if we want to push that one to July 5th, or whatever you guys want, whatever you guys think.
I think
I think
those.
July. Go ahead, Tim.
Sorry, I think those 3 at the most for now, and then we'll do the other one later. So the 2 we've got earmarked and the Matic can go for now, and then the rest do later on. I think any more than 3 is probably going to cause problems.
Yeah, I agree with Tim. I think 3 is fine, and I don't want to give the community the impression that we're deprecating so we can replenish our safe, you know. And let's just be fair. Distribution is distribution, and when we implement the new TELx pool, we can just switch the existing rewards to that pool, and let's go from there, you know.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to mention maybe is just on timing, because I think by the time like this, proposal goes to snapshot and whatnot, like it might be right around that June 5th timing anyway. I would suggest we start doing the 2 pools as we discussed today as of June 5th, and then officially deprecate the Polygon pool as per July, just to give the community a little bit more time to process it and understand it, just because, again, we've given enough notice on the other 2 pools and it's been a long time coming, but this is something that we just kind of brought up. Like, I know, Mike, you proposed it and pitched it, but like it's never been formally voted on or anything yet. My thoughts would just be to push that one out just one period, just to give everybody a little bit more time, and then hopefully, by then, to your point, we've got everything settled with V4. Everything is set up, and then maybe we have a better understanding from Paul and Telcoin Holdings about what's going on with stablecoins, and we can wrap our heads around kind of a bigger picture of what we're going to do with that, and then potentially, deprecate the Tel ETH pool and free up some of those funds to then maybe move to some of these more stablecoin digital cash pools that will obviously help Telcoin Bank, Telcoin Holdings with the remittance side of their business. Okay, and all of these like digital cash coins right now, like the Mexican, like that's already established. That's the Telcoin, digital Mexican peso. That is on Polygon, right? So like the token is already minted. It's already on Polygon. It's just getting the pools up to speed so that we can combine it with the USDC pair or Tel pair.
Yeah, correct. And I think part of that will be also getting the eMXN recognizable. I think I can't remember if Amir or Leo or somebody was working on that to like get the logos updated, get it off of a unknown status on Polygon scan and all those other things, so that it's it appears on Uniswap properly rather than like a question mark, So I think that one I think you're right. We staged that one out 1 month later, and hopefully by that time we've got it all sorted.
Okay. Does anybody have any other comments on that? Ty, go ahead.
Just remind me, the current TEL rewards were and the DFX rewards, they were going to flow into 2 other pools. One was TEL USD. And one,
no,
is that correct?
It's both Tel ETH, but one's going to be on Polygon V4, the other one's going to be on base V4. So they're both basically Tel and Ethereum pools, but on different chains. So we're going to provide those incentives to incentivize V4, on Polygon, and then the same on base, and then to also get that on base as well.
So we'll have 3 TEL ETH pools incentivized. We'll have the TEL ETH on Balancer, we'll have TEL ETH on base and TEL ETH on Uniswap.
That's correct.
Correct.
Yeah, that's why we would definitely want to deprecate the TEL balancer, the balancer pool for Ethereum as well, but the TELx pool. But not yet. I think we need to get the other one live and incentivized first, because for liquidity for swaps, deprecating DFX and balancer is not going to make any difference to price impact through aggregators. So, but if we take that Ethereum one out, that one does do a fair amount of volume, especially with Ethereum ripping right now. So I think we leave that one until we have,
Yeah, the last couple of days, it's been probably anywhere from 125,000 to 175,000 in daily volume. Whereas you look at DFX, Balancer, and Polygon are probably sub 35,000.
Yeah.
Some of them sometimes like sub 10.
Yeah.
So as long as we're clear, we do know that we'll be incentivizing probably 3 ETH pools.
Correct.
For a short period of time, I think, yes, just until we figure out what's going on, again, with more of the digital cash side of things. And then, like we said, we'll probably deprecate the balancer, tell ETH pool for, other pools to help out with, maybe the launch of Telcoin Bank and the remittance side of that business.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to kind of emphasize that.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think it'll be a short time, but yeah.
Sorry, if I may, I have a question for Mike regarding the digital cash pools. So I wrote up some in the Discord. I don't know if you read it, but so about these pools, these eMXN, EUSD or USDC pool or whatever. How is it going to be balanced? Because of volatility of one token against the other. It's like it's a stable kind of a stable coin pool. So how is it going to be balanced?
Oh, it would be a 50-50 pool. And it'd be a full range pool. I mean, you could go in and try to do a concentrated liquidity position between 2 stable coins if you wanted, but that would be fairly challenging. I mean, there's no real incentive to do that, I don't think.
What would be the fee tier, Mike, do you think?
I believe it should be a smaller fee. I think it should be 0.1 or 0.05. I don't think it should be the 0.3% because we're trying to disrupt remittances. And so the lower the better, just from a volume perspective. Or maybe we could start with a 0.1 and decrease it to 0.05 later.
I think that's standard for like stable coins too. They do typically have a lower fee structure than other tokenized assets. So I think that
because ideally we'd love to have millions of dollars swapping through that pool every day. If we do this thing properly and become the best way to send money to Mexico from the US, then you can imagine that could be a pretty high volume pool fairly shortly.
Yeah,
so Mike, just a question too on the Mexican peso. Like, is there a certain level of liquidity now on Polygon, or how are people going to be able to swap potentially a stable coin or Telcoin for Mexican peso to then, fund and put liquidity into this new pool?
Well, right now, I don't know. It depends on where you are. You can go into the Telcoin app and you can buy eMXN. It depends on your where you live, but then you'll be able to. So the folks that can do that can will start providing liquidity to Uniswap by purchasing eMXN and then moving it over to their MetaMask wallet and providing liquidity that way. That's how I would do it. That's how I will do it. I'll be an LP in that pool. and so that's where you'll find it. But once we have enough liquidity on Uniswap, then it would just be like any other swap. Like we just be able to go onto your connect your MetaMask wallet and swap USDC for it, or wrapped Bitcoin, or whatever you want, because it'll just run through an
Okay,
aggregator.
I just know that for me, I can't really use the app, so that's not really an option for me. So I was just curious as to like, is there already an established pool where we can do it? Like, where is the Telcoin app swapping for that Mexican peso, essentially? Like, is
It's
there?
not
There must be
swapping at the moment. It's issuing. It's like being issued, and then like there's a balance. There's actually like a cash balance that then
so that
provides that.
they're
Yeah,
minting it. Yeah, yeah, okay.
minting.
Well,
Yeah, it's being minted.
is there not a
Yeah,
website that we can go to then swap
there will
some other
be.
tokens to mint?
Well,
Because
you mean like to go if
well,
if you wanted to go buy? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, say tomorrow the pool opens and there's a low level of liquidity and it needs to be minted in order to start funding this pool. I, as a Canadian, can't go on the app to, use that service to then, put it into the pool, for tomorrow. Is there another way for me to do that? Like, I'm just thinking, bigger picture. Should we not have a website that we can go to then mint the tokens?
One of the things that Josh and his team are working on specifically is the Mint portal. That's I don't know if that'll be I don't know if that'll be accessible to just anybody. I'm not really sure how that all is going to work. But for the time being, if you just send me dollars, I'll give you eMexican peso for a 10% fee.
I'll take a minus 10% fee. How about that?
Well, if you're gonna send me Canadian, it's gonna get really screwed up.
I don't want to send you maple syrup bucks. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, no, I'm just thinking out loud as we kind of, get the initial stuff going, because it's probably going to be similar situation for all these new digital cash dollars as well. Is we should kind of have like a minting structure.
It will be a little bit wild westish until there's enough liquidity for folks that just want to connect their MetaMask wallet to get eMexican pesos. But I think that'll happen pretty quick, because there'll be hundreds of thousands of dollars in that pool within the first day. I can confidently say that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay.
What'd you say, Ty?
I said you've got some big backers then for this Mexican pool.
We have people that are interested in that. Yeah, like from a personal perspective, I know that Paul himself would be very interested in helping to bootstrap that pool just for the success of the organization. So there will be people that will be willing to put money into that pool with no incentive, just to see it work properly. So that is true.
Can anybody put into the eMEX pools, or is that like a closed pool?
Oh, that's a closed loop traditional finance situation. So,
Right.
and that
So I need to leave because I have a work call starting right now. But yes, that's specific to like the Telcoin Holdings app infrastructure. It's not something that can just be accessed by outside parties. We have had discussions on how other ways we can get the get our stablecoins out in the community, but I don't think we've made any decisions as of now. Like I said, I need to jump, but I had a pleasure speaking with you guys. If you have any questions for myself or Khalil, just make sure they get to one of the council members, and I'll make sure those get answered.
Thanks, Amir.
Thanks, Amir. Thanks, Amir, for your time.
Thank you, Amir.
Okay, very interesting.
What else we got?
Hey, sorry, I'm just getting home now. Yeah, I don't know what else was on the agenda. I think if there's any questions from from the community, we can move to that section. If not, then maybe I think we can wrap up. I think that was most of what we wanted to talk about today.
Okay. One quick question for you guys. If I push the Mexican peso proposal forward for a vote, the amount of issuance, should we just keep it at what is currently offered on the Matic pool that's going to be deprecated at that 2.7 or 2 million TEL per month to help get that liquidity? I think once we get that liquidity up to $1 million or something like that, then and it's live and there's stuff going through that, we could then start to pull some of the issuance down to target like a 10 to 15% APY, something in that ballpark.
Yeah, I'm okay with leaving it, exactly at the 2.7, 2.8 for now, until, like I said, we have a better understanding of kind of what we're doing with other pools. Just we can't continue to, deprecate one pool to bring one in. Like, we're not just going to have 6 pools. Eventually, if these digital cash, pools open up to each individual currency, we're going to have, 15 to 20 digital cash pools alone, let alone any incentivizations of other assets that we want to do as well too. So I say for now, I think we're okay with the 2.7, 2.8 until we have a little bit of a better understanding of where we're going.
Okay. And I think we'll get quicker in the future too.
I think a good solution would be to stay with 2.7 and then divide it when we open new pools. Divide those 2.7, or maybe increase it a little and divide it as we go.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that too. And I know I brought this up a couple times too, but we'll eventually have to talk about how we decide on, the amount of incentives that go towards each pool and whether or not we try to implement a system, whether it's voting escrow or something like that, down the road. But again, that's I think, well into 26, maybe even 27 when we need to get there. But I think eventually we'll have to develop something for that. And it can be on a more communal basis where it's not us making the decision on, how much incentives goes towards each pool. It'll be more communal based on voting and voting power, so to speak.
Can
Yeah,
I make
agree.
a suggestion?
Sorry,
Can I suggest we make it 2.4? Because 2.4 is a much easier number to divide by. Divide by 30 days, divide by 2 pools, divide by 4 pools, divide by 3 pools. 2.4 works a lot better than 2.7.
And then we can put the balance into the operational wallet again to help pay for, these audits and getting things going.
For the audit, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll put 2.4.
I'm okay with that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
no problem.
Looking to see if you have any questions.
Just quickly on that point, going forward, how to reallocate rewards as we're opening up new pools. It would make sense to target the rewards towards those that are earning less in the way of fees. Those that are earning a lot more in the way of fees might even be able to stand alone without any rewards. But let's leave that to another time.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely a valid point. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Well, we are over our hour, which typically happens. I'm not surprised. I know a lot of us can talk, myself included. So we'll give it one last final call for any comments from the council or any questions from the community, and then I think we can wrap this one up. Going once, going twice.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the comments. I think the only question was from Boo about the Telmatic.
Yeah, I feel like I think we answered that.
Yeah, we covered that.
Yeah. Okay. And Ty, just to confirm, were you taking notes today?
Oh, did you want me to take notes? Yeah, I was.
It's all good. We can listen back to this one and put some notes down. Just
yeah, he's got the audio. He releases his clips pretty quickly, so we can always review.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. All right, and everybody's good for the 28th.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
All right. Sounds good,
Yeah.
gents. Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
We look at ourselves as the bridge between the traditional financial and the crypto world. So that's why we want to be the bank and issue stablecoin bank accounts directly out of your stablecoin. We all know about the breadth and scale of NWC, 100,000 attendees globally with phenomenal success. But I think it's the content and the engagement, the energy, which is vibrant, rebellious. But I think it's a melting pot of corporates, telecom, startups, especially this 4 years from now, where you have investors, startups, corporate, cutting-edge technology providers all under the same roof. That's phenomenal. We love it here.
We're wrapping up shop here at MWC 2025. It's been a super productive conference. We networked with a ton of mobile network operators, and the booth generated a ton of interest. So that's it for now. We'll see you at the next conference.